you keep hearing over and over again, and you've probably heard it from me even, that you've got to be true to yourself. But what does that really mean? What does it really mean to be true to yourself, right? And if you're not really sure where you stand on something, how can you really truly be true to yourself if you don't know what being true to yourself even means? Now, I'm sure on a certain level, we each understand what being true to ourselves really and fully means. But then there are these other areas where it's like we're kind of standing on shifting sand, right? There are some areas of our beliefs, some areas of our ethics, some foundation of who we are that is absolutely completely solid, right? And it stays solid throughout time. But then if we're to evolve, if we're to grow, there's this other aspect of our psyche that's always going through change, that's always going through some sort of a shift. And that's the particular moment in time that you're likely beginning to find yourself in. Now, on the 31st of October, Venus is going to retrograde back into Chitra Nakshatra, where it's going to continue transiting all the way through to the 29th of November. On the 16th of November, when Venus stations direct, there's going to be a build-up of intensity in regards to this. And so over the duration of this entire process, you're likely going to find yourself, especially during Venus's retrograde motion, going, what is it that I truly feel? What is it that I truly feel? What things are very vital to me? What things do I really need to build my life around? What sort of ethics? What's the foundation of those things that I believe? What are those things that I hold sacred? It's likely that you're beginning to review all of these different things in your life. Now, it's Venus transits through Chitra. Venus transits through Chitra Nakshatra. Chitra is very bright, okay? And Chitra has this tendency to make things appear to be one way. And there's a reason for this. It wants to pull us in a direction so that we have a subjective experience of exploring something. Sometimes we explore this quote unquote something to the extent that we discover, well, gee, this really isn't meant for me. It's not what's right and ultimately correct for me. Sometimes we discover that it is what's right and ultimately true for us. Now, Chitra Nakshatra, if you read the deity associations from the Taittiriya Brahmana, is connected to Indra. Now, I know many of you have probably heard of the connection of Vishwakarma. Some of you have probably also heard Tvashtri, which Tvashtri and Vishwakarma are somewhat connected but slightly different, but we're not going to go into that right now. In Taittiriya Brahmana, we're given the association of Indra with Chitra Nakshatra. And Indra is the conqueror of the senses, right? He's the conqueror. He's the one who rose above the control of his senses by seeing things correctly. That's how he attained the status of king of the gods, okay? So there's a lesson with that. In order to know what truth is, in order to know what's right and ultimately correct for ourselves, we have to see things clearly. But the lens of our consciousness is distorted, and no amount of getting out the glasses cleaner, and spraying it on your glasses is really going to take care of it. You got to clean something else. And that something else that you have to clean is inside of here. And really sometimes the only way to clean that is to go through a confusing set of circumstances so that ultimately you're able to work it all out. Okay. Now, during the very beginning part of this transit, Mars, which is connected to Chitra Nakshatra, is going to be in Dhanishta Nakshatra. That's bringing up this whole thing of going, right, well, I've got to do what's right, and I've got to do what's true to me and what's true to my soul. That's kind of heightening that. Then on I think around the 6th of November, Mars is going to shift into Shatabhishak Nakshatra, making it so that you take all those things that you feel righteous that you feel are righteous, and some of those things of which perhaps you're being a little self-righteous over. And it's going to make you become somewhat assertive in regards to those particular concepts, those particular philosophies, whatever it relates to in your life. And if you're interested in understanding what that might relate to in your life, I do offer several different levels of astrological service, all of which are available through the astrological services page of my website. You can click on the link above if you're interested. But part of the process of sorting through all of this is going through the confusion. So as you go into that space of becoming more assertive, stronger, and standing by those things which ultimately you feel that you really believe, part of the process is going to make you go, okay, well, is that something that you truly believe? Perhaps you have to work this all out by getting into some sort of stress with your environment, perhaps even getting into stress with another individual, encountering a differing point of view so that you can see things from another angle. Perhaps, just perhaps, some of your values are going to be put to the test. Is that necessarily a bad thing? No, because unless you're able to stand and face a challenge, you're never going to know your true strength. Unless you're able to face your own delusion, you're never going to understand your own truth. This is a necessary process for you to work through. Now, as Venus is going through this transit, it's also forming an aspect to Ketu in Chitra Nakshatra. And it's creating this unsteady energy within you in terms of where it is that you're actually wanting to take things. What's the next step? Where are you? What's the path that you want to head on? That's kind of temporarily on hold while you're sorting out all these values, right? And sometimes we have to reach that crisis moment. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but sometimes we have to reach that crisis moment of really confronting ourselves, of really kind of encountering a crossroads where it's either sink or swim, right? It's either move or be moved, or it's either take action or be, kind of acted upon. Those moments happen in our lives, right? Those are the moments when a lump of coal has an opportunity to become a diamond, or something that's like, unpolished, dark, a big lump, has the capacity to be clear and multifaceted. So don't fear this process. Embrace it. Let yourself go through it, right? Let yourself go through it, even if it means temporarily, for lack of a better way to put it, being led away in the woods by the fairies. Let yourself be led away by that. There is no harm in being wrong, because you're not going to know what right is sometimes unless you've gone through understanding what wrong is. Sure, it's a humiliating experience, but things that are humiliating are less humiliating if you're willing to be humble. And if in that humility, you're willing to be honest to yourself, and instead of placing your ego up on a pedestal, if instead you take a look at where perhaps you've been overly focused on that ego and where you need to connect to yourself and how you've been blocking out yourself, how you've been blocking out this understanding. So I want to share with you the text from the Taittiriya Brahmana for Chitra Nakshatra. The bright or the brilliance of Indra, the conqueror, is right from above and truth from below. But until we understand what right is, we can't live in our truth. And that's the space, ultimately, that you're finding yourself in now. And if you need some help during these transitional and transformational times, again, I do offer several different levels of astrological service, all of which are available through the astrological services page of my website. If you wish to schedule with me, you can follow the link above. That's going to do it for Venus's transit through Chitra Nakshatra from the 31st of October all the way through to the 29th of November 2018. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.